Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Londonderry Town Council meeting for June 21st, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, as we go into the summer months here, let's have a moment of silence for our first responders who help us here in town and for a safe summer. Thank you. All right, folks, first item on the agenda is public comment. Do I have anyone here this evening for public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Bob Slater, 1 Stonehenge Road, also one member of the school board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Council, and Mr. Smith. I've had a couple of meetings with our town manager over the last several months regarding locations for our district office. As you know, district office is up at Kitty Hawk. Moved up there approximately 3 years ago. I believe we're entering our 4th year of a 1-year lease period. So I approached our board back in January to see if I could get a consensus to kind of research some properties that we might be able to put this in the near future. I met with several developers in the town. There was one property between the two schools that we met with that gentleman as well, and took a look at that, if that was a possibility, and then met with our town manager once the property was purchased for over here across from Matthew Thornton. So we've had several conversations, and it kept bringing us back to next door here, where the old district office used to be. And after several conversations, thinking about it and looking at all the other possibilities of the cost of property today, it would be nice to get district office back into a town-owned property where we're paying $130,000 to $140,000 a year in a lease towards, the purchase of a bond, a 20-year bond. And in 20 years, it's ours. As I stated, we're into year 4 of a 10 one-year leases. So with 8 months' notice, we can bow out of the lease. We still will be obligated for about $40,000 per year. So if we get out in 5 years, we owe $200,000 towards the fit-out. But the net gain is every year we get out sooner, the town gains about $30,000 in revenue, as we pay $30,000 a year in property taxes for the town to collect $30,000. So every year we get out is a net gain to the town and the taxpayers of $30,000. So with the assistance of our town manager and kind of the pros and cons of a raw piece of land compared to a piece of land that has all the utilities and infrastructure, I took it back to our board to see if they would consider exploring it. And then I would bring it back to you guys to see if you guys would consider it. Us looking at putting it back here with a 2-story to match the building. And we know that our town manager is looking for a couple of office spaces and some storage as well that was proposed, with the cost of everything has kind of been put off for a bit. So I think if it all comes to fruition, we could accommodate both. We could get 8,000 to 9,000 square feet for the school district and the space that our town manager will need, that he was looking to build in the last year or so. So I've just kind of come to you folks to see if it's a possibility to bring this, to see if you have any pros and cons to us possibly exploring this and getting some pricing and entertaining that we could bring it back to the center of town And again, it would be a two-story building. We would match, we'd probably get the blueprints to the building, match the block, the windows, the whole scheme of the building to kind of make it look just like what's here. So I'd like to just see, I'm going to bring it back to the board depending on your decision. And then, as you know, we're in the middle of, or in the beginning stages of a 10-year master plan for the school district that we've started, looking at all our buildings, infrastructure, that we're trying to lay out so we have a better idea where all our buildings are at mechanically, size-wise, and what we need down the road 5 to 10 years from here. So I thought it would be good if we could get the district office off the plate. And I know one of the former chairs about 4 years ago, Dan Lekas, was the president when I came to you folks to build it 4 years ago. And he knew they signed a 10-year lease, but the sooner we can get out, you know, the more savings we have going towards, you know, paying the bond off sooner rather than paying $130,000 to $140,000 a year in a lease. And again, the tax revenue that would come to the town that we don't have to pay as taxpayers would come from that building now where it's completed. So I guess I'd just throw it out to you guys if you have any questions, and let me know your thoughts on this so I could take it back to our board. Thank you.
Questions?
I think it makes a lot of sense, and I really appreciate you doing all that, the homework, because, you know, numbers don't lie, right? So,
Nope. No.
great job on the research on that.
Yep, thank you.
I know we've talked offline about this too, so.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe if it, for me, the key issue is, does it save the taxpayers money? If it does, then we should do it.
Okay.
I agree.
I just was curious as to, like, just a ballpark, since you're in the construction industry, and I know right now is not a great time to build and get prices, but, like, what are we looking at for, like, a timeline for this to start to completion? Like, you're talking 5 years, 6 years? Hopefully, the markets will level themselves out a little bit. Will we rebid then, because it's maybe different?
My timeline is probably, seems unrealistic, but my timeline was if we could get things put together and get a subcommittee, building committee started on this sooner than later, once we get everything in order, would be to have some pricing for budget season this year.
Okay, what
That's-
about shovel in the ground thought?
It
I mean,
all-
I think it's a great idea. I'm just
Yep.
trying to,
If it can come together, depending on that, it would be July 1 next year.
oh, okay,
Well, we
thank
have to
you.
go to the ballot.
But it would have
I
to go
know,
to
but, I
ballot and
mean, just
get
if
approval.
it got approved and how quickly, because sometimes things lapse and then it happens and people go,
Yep.
oh, when did that happen?
Exactly.
And then,
No, and what I'm looking at, Deb, is every year we get out of there, every year sooner we get
No, no.
out is going towards the purchase of that bond.
right.
And
that's good.
revenue to the town of the 30+ thousand in tax revenue. So-
Yeah, we've had that conversation
Yep.
and I think it's a great idea. It's just,
Yep.
I was trying to figure out the time
And,
span.
and we looked at it and, you know, the infrastructure's all here, the parking's here. I've spoke with Kevin on parking. If it becomes an issue, there is room to expand if we need to, but
Right.
we felt as though that there's probably enough parking for the 24 employees that, you know, the district office employees, and they're not there all the time, so they're amongst the buildings as well, so. It made sense, you know, with everything being there, and it'll help out the town as well as the school. And we've been, you know, the two entities have been working really well the past year or two,
Yeah.
you know, together to make improvements and save tax dollars.
Yeah. Well, thank you for keeping on top of this and pushing it forward.
Yeah, it takes time, but
No, I
once you
know,
get
but
there,
you've
you want to
been-
go, you know?
You've been the whole cheering squad, so
Thanks.
good luck.
Thanks.
Chairman, follow-up question?
Yes, please.
So based on what Deb was saying, do you think you can make it for the ballot in March, or? I mean, I know you said budget season.
If I get
this-
the consensus from our board, and then we have a 10 o'clock meeting with our facility study committee, I'd like to give it to them. If I have your approval and my school board tomorrow night, consensus to bring it to them to make it part of it, because what I want to do you know, district office has always been a part of our facility study because we needed a place. This will kind of pull that out, and we can attack that while they're looking at our schools and finishing that up. So we can pull this out with a building committee and get that going, yet that'll be the first key to our facility study. It'll show the community that we're trying to save money out of the gate because we know we're gonna need some money down the road for schools, for infrastructure. Some of our buildings are 60 years old, 70 years old, you know, they don't last forever. So that's why we started this facility study and where we're going with enrollment. So I think it can happen. I think where we already have the blueprints to this main building and that, it's basically the floor plan to have a small design build contractor or two look at it and bid it to the subcommittee and bring it back with a floor plan and get the building built and go from there. So I think it can happen.
Yeah, as long as, we can use the money, we can still use the money that we bonded, or that we haven't bonded it yet, but it's been approved by the voters to refurb this room, offices, and everything else. As long as we can work that through so that it's a joint type of, project, it would probably make sense.
Yeah, we can do that. And just for the council's awareness, so right before Bob had contacted me about this, we were getting ready to have the landscaping company come in and button up the rest of that area. I've put the hold on that for now. Obviously, I'm not going to have them come in and do all sorts of landscaping when we're now considering the school district office there. So I just wanted to be for the council to be aware that you'll have to look at the beach volleyball court for a little while longer. Figure out what happens.
Just get the nets up. Well, sounds like we're on board.
John, how much money do we have in that account? Roughly.
Steve, do you recall how much was left in there?
Okay.
So, and I don't want to hold up. What I will do is present it to our board tomorrow night and then to the facility study on Wednesday. And I can get back to Kevin if there's any snafu in case I don't get that. But I'm hoping for, the support. I think it's a win-win for everybody in the community and to get our district office into a place they can call home and some more revenue for the town. We can always use that.
Well, I mean, I understand there's some birthday cake for you at home, so I think maybe I think you've done more than done your duty tonight, sir. So happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks,
Bob.
Deb.
Thanks, Bob. So this is a good segue into just an update on the school board meeting from last week. So last week's school board meeting, the fire chief and I were asked to attend the meeting. The main subject that was being addressed by the public was around mask wearing. There was probably over 100 people there. The one thing that I wanted to make sure that we got out here, and it's something we promised the people outside the building at the meeting's conclusion of that piece, is the people left, and the Chief O'Brien and I were outside, and they kept asking us, why can't we do this? Why don't you do this? Why doesn't the town do this? Why doesn't the town council make this decision and everything? And we had to spend the better part of about 45 minutes explaining to them that we have separate forms of government here in town, and that the school department is one completely separate form of government. They make their own decisions about their community, about their budget. We also have a form of government in the library, which is managed by the library trustees and funded by the town council. And then we have the town council, which runs the operations of the town: police, fire, public works, the roads, provide all the safety and security for the schools. And that's where our relationship is with them. We work as partners in this. If, one supports the other. What I want the community to understand is if you have questions, as we told the people there, 3 out of every 4 of your dollars are spent in the school systems. Go to the meetings and ask your questions. Go there and ask them. Go in during public comment. They have public comment and say, can you please help us understand this? Can you please help us explain these things? The town council is not in a position to answer questions about the schools outside of public safety. And that's our role. So if the school department takes a position, the position of the town is to support that position from a public safety standpoint. Are there any questions about anything else that went on at the meeting or anything along those lines? We are completely separate forms of government. Good? Okay, public comments. So I think we have a proclamation tonight?
We do. Justin, were you gonna?
Did you want to do something else, Justin? No, Justin, well, would you like to speak during public comment?
Yeah, I would, if you don't mind. Just real quick.
Sure.
So the finance director, Justin Campo, I'm just here to clarify a couple things. I wasn't able to come to the last meeting for personal reasons.
Oh, was there something going on in your family? Would there be congratulations?
Yes, thank you very much. But there was discussions regarding the recreation playground and the efforts that are going on. I just wanted to clarify to the public, because I've received several questions. The person organizing it has received several questions. The town is aware of the funding coming in. You're able to donate the money directly to the town of Londonderry. Put a little note comment in the section saying playground addition, sensory playground, anything of that nature. The reason we needed you guys to be able to accept it and have that resolution is because we are tracking the money. Everything that comes in, I track it. I keep proper documentation as much as possible. So if something were to happen, we'd be able to return the funds to those that sent us the money. I just wanted to clarify that, should anyone out in the public have any concerns about it. So hopefully that will ease their concerns.
Thank you.
That was that.
Now do we have a proclamation?
I believe we do. So, Mr. Chair, before you read the proclamation, as you are aware, one of our longer-term employees, Stephen Cotton, has announced his retirement. His last day is actually this Wednesday. And this is a moment that I've been somewhat dreading for some time, because when I've thought about Steve leaving and just how many areas of town hall and police, fire, senior center, cable, all of those areas that he touches, it's quite extensive. And, you know, there's an old saying that no one is irreplaceable, but Steve might be the exception to that rule. You know, the job description for Steve's position, I think, is a page long, but Steve's actual job description, I believe, is 12 pages long when we last met with him. He is going to be missed quite a bit by staff and by the citizens alike, as I often get many compliments on the work Steve does all around Londonderry. And it wasn't uncommon for Steve to come in evenings, weekends, holidays, to be doing stuff around town, and just appreciate his work so much. And so with that, you have a proclamation before you, and if you wouldn't mind reading it.
Town of Londonderry Proclamation in honor of Stephen Cotton upon his occasion of his retirement, June 23rd, 2021. It is hereby proclaimed by the Council of the Town of Londonderry, New Hampshire as follows. Whereas Steve Cotton has been a valued employee to the Town of Londonderry for the last 11 years. And whereas Steve has served the Town of Londonderry as Administrative Support Coordinator and Cemetery Trustee. Whereas Steve's behind-the-scenes work is a major reason why Londonderry Town Hall, the Senior Center, the Cable Center, the Leach Library, and the Londonderry Fire Stations run smoothly and effectively on a daily basis. Whereas Steve's friends and colleagues in the town of Londonderry will miss his hard work and leadership, and we will especially miss the contagious smile, giving personality, wit, and his trademark of OU, and the ability to light up every room with his contagious laughter. Whereas Stephen Cotton is an instrumental part of the recent Londonderry Central Fire Station renovation project. Whereas in the gratitude for all the work and time Steve provided to making the new fire station a reality. Now, therefore, on the occasion of his well-earned retirement, the Londonderry Town Council recognizes and thanks Stephen Cotton for his commitment and his professional and personal dedication to the town of Londonderry and its citizens, and further hereby proclaim the new driveway at Central Fire Station as Cotton Way.
Come on up, Steve, and I'd ask Fire Chief.
Signed today, the 21st of June.
This isn't the actual sign, but this is a replica that your friends at the garage put together for you. Come on up, Steve. Come in the middle.
Steve. For you as well.
Steve, since you're the guy that gets the Framesboro proclamations, can you take care of that?
Watch out, Kirby.
I'm still the only person, too, that knows how to work the AC and heat on this thing, so.
Yes, you'll do a YouTube video before you leave?
In Sherry, I will need a double take.
That's between you and her. I'm staying out of that. Okay, so I think I'm going to close public comment for now, but I believe our, excuse me, 1 second. I have to go to Councilor Dolan before I close public comment.
Thank you,
Apologize for
Mr.
that.
Chair. On a much more somber note, let me say that former Representative Ann Warner, who left office the first of the year, passed away yesterday. So we should remember her and her family, especially her husband Greg, in our thoughts and prayers as they mourn the loss of Ann. And thank her for her service to the community.
And for her many years as supervisors of the checklist. All our best to the Warner family. Yes, I'm going to close public comment. Our Assistant Town Solicitor has a few things he'd like to go over with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good evening. As the council knows, I can't remember exactly when this took place, but some folks came in to give a presentation to the council about the opioid epidemic. And specifically the idea of going after some of the manufacturers of those opioids, as well as the distributors. And the town did engage council to pursue those efforts and brought suit against a number of the opioid manufacturers, including Purdue Pharma, which is probably the highest profile of those of that group. Purdue, and this was all fairly big news, so some of you may be familiar with this, declared bankruptcy last year at a certain point. And there was a lot of back and forth about the fact that the Sackler family, which is behind Purdue Pharma, wouldn't have necessarily been held accountable for these claims. And there was litigation in the bankruptcy case pertaining to that. And so we were notified, and Assistant Town Manager Drabick and I have been working on this together. We were notified earlier today, actually, that there is a proposed plan before the bankruptcy court in the Purdue Pharma case that needs an up or down vote before 7/14. So in view of the council's schedule going forward, we thought it best to bring the matter before you tonight to avoid the need for a special meeting. Briefly, the way a Chapter 11 bankruptcy case works, and I won't get too down into the weeds, is the case culminates in the proposal of a plan by the debtor being Purdue Pharma, and the either approval or disapproval by the court. And what the plan provides for, in general terms, is payment on claims that are submitted. And one of the claims that's been submitted is the town's claim for damages due to the opioid epidemic. The plan that's before the court is recommended for approval by our bankruptcy counsel. It's recommended for approval by the opioid litigation counsel that we engaged. And all of this is happening pretty quickly, and it's not unusual for bankruptcy cases to go quickly. But they've promised us a letter indicating why they are supportive of this. ATM Drabick and myself think it makes sense based on what we know right now to go ahead and approve this plan, understanding that the general parameters are something in the neighborhood of $4.5 billion going through this plan back to state and local governments. So I'll also note that this litigation is continuing. As I said, Purdue is one of the defendants that we sued. There are many others. But my proposal and my request tonight would be that you authorize us to notify bankruptcy counsel that we are supportive of the plan. But once that letter comes in, that's promised in the very near future, If the assistant town manager or myself, after review, think that there's some kind of an issue with that, in a way that would alter the recommendation that we're making to you tonight, we'll let you know, and so that you can take appropriate action.
Questions? Okay, so this is, we gotta be in it to win it, or whatever we're gonna get. We'll get
Exactly.
some number and we don't know what it's gonna be.
Correct.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the recommendation of the Assistant Town
So
Solicitor.
move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes affirmative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Was there anything further that you wanted to discuss in this portion of the meeting? I know you're coming back for the communications piece.
Not until then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to new business. Order 2021-11, expenditure and maintenance trust for various projects. I have an order for $44,846. Looks like a lot of roof work and, let's see, we had a lot of roof work, painting of the bandstand and refinishing the floor at the senior center.
That's
Sir,
correct, Mr.
Didn't you
Chair.
retire?
So, first item is for the flat roof at the Alliance Hall for $5,190. The second item is the senior center. We refinished the hardwood floor in the main building as well as the stage for $5,900. We're currently engaged in doing the painting of the town common bandstand for $4,450. And for the DPW garage, not the new building, the old building that was built in 1974, we replaced the shingles, and then turned out that we had, on the north side, the plywood was gone, and then an extra layer of shingles for $29,306. So those are expenditures that we're looking to approve tonight for $44,846.
Questions? Yes.
I have two questions, and then I have to recuse myself for voting on one of these things. So yay for the bandstand, that's a statement. Two, did you already do the senior floor?
Yes.
Like, oh. Was it-
We did the senior floor a couple of weeks ago before they reopened because of the smell and getting that thing done before the seniors come in. So
Okay.
that was the time to do it, so we didn't have to shut down again. We're trying to get the thing back open, and this was,
Okay, like I said, just a couple of questions.
yeah, no problem.
And and a flat roof, what are you talking about the thing over the steps on the Lions Hall? That little square thing?
No, if you go on the south side of the building as you pull into the parking lot, it's hard to see, but it is about a 20 by 20 foot flat roof
Okay.
on the back side of that building. That,
And you haven't done that one yet, right?
No,
Okay.
no.
And then I have to recuse myself because Tri-State advertises with me, so I cannot vote on that. So you'd have to, if you want me, you have to pull that out. I can vote on the others, but not that piece, or recuse
Okay.
from the whole thing.
Let the record reflect that Counselor Paul has stepped down from voting on Order 2021-11 for conflict on customer advertising. Any other questions?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the order as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes affirmative. Order passes 4-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your service over the year and helping me get through all these. And
And thank you for your final act.
yes,
Don't worry, I'm sure they'll find something for you to do over the next 2 days. Somehow I'm not going to be in shock. Steve, could you go out, check? Next item is extending lapsed deadline for communications upgrade of funds. Back to Mr. Malaguti.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So, in on the town's 2018 warrant, the town approved funding to upgrade the townwide public safety communication system. And that warrant article gave until the earlier of the completion of that project or June 30th, 2021. I can tell you that the project is 99.9% complete. There is one additional tower on Auburn Road that needs to be constructed, and that's the last major piece of this project. We should have full completion on the project towards the end of the summer. There's, per the finance director, $97,843 remaining in the appropriated funds. And I'll note, at least based on the warrant, I don't think I was around back then, but at least in the warrant that I found on the town's website, it looks like it was initially UFB that was used. Of that 97,000 that's remaining, 87,000 is earmarked for the Auburn Road Tower, and the balance is for any last-minute issues, unanticipated things that might come up. So I'm asking the council to take a vote to treat the remaining $97,843 as encumbered for one additional year under RSA 32(7) Roman 5. And the purpose of that request is to prevent the funds from lapsing and becoming unavailable to finish that project out, as I indicated earlier.
Questions? Well, this has been a long time coming, so I'm sure some of it was slowed down because of last year, but the sooner we can get this up and running, the better. So you're looking for a motion to extend?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Can I have a motion to extend the deadline for the communications upgrade fund?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes affirmative, 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can you hang around a little bit?
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 2021-02, an amendment to the zoning ordinance relative to the rezoning of 20 and 22 Young Road to multifamily residential 3 R3, first reading. I'll quickly, before I ask for let me put the motion on the floor. Can I have a motion to waive first reading?
So moved. Second.
And I have a second. Are there any questions before I call for a vote on the first reading? This will be a public hearing at our next meeting on July 19th. Yes?
I just want clarification. I didn't vote, but I did speak at the planning board.
Okay.
I asked if that was the right thing to do.
And did the chairman direct you accordingly?
Right, so I
Okay.
did not vote. I just wanted to let you guys know that, but I did speak to the issue.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank
As long
you.
as you follow the directions of the planning board chairman, I'm sure it's fine.
Okay.
Anything else on this before I go to a vote? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes affirmative. Motion carries. Oh, it's July 12th, excuse me, the next meeting. Apologize for that. Is it like the 19th or something like that in August? It's cut off on my thing, that's why I'm asking.
It's just July was the only one that was listed on your agenda. All of them have been posted on the calendar already.
Yeah, and the August meeting is? No, the August meeting's later in the month, isn't it?
Usually you do one the Monday before Old Home Day.
Let's just verify that right now. Were we doing the 16th? And that was the Monday before Old Home Day? I think we said tentatively we would hold the 30th. Just so there wouldn't be a jump up all the way from the 16th to the 13th. So tentatively, we're holding the 30th. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. I have no old business. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for June 7th as presented in our packet?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Looking for a second.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Chair votes affirmative. We are good on that. Where did Mr. Dolan go?
I don't know, maybe you took a walk to
Well,
walk away.
Here's your time to watch them.
Could he come back?
Yeah. Put them together.
Oh, well, you know, we just got a little meeting going on here, nothing, you know. Hi,
Good to see you, Tom.
if you wouldn't mind just coming back.
You missed me.
But we're getting towards the tail end here. We're gonna send everybody home early today. Bob's got cake for all of us.
Oh.
Okay, next item is Budget Committee open position discussion. So, Ms. Patton resigned from the Budget Committee. I did attend Mark Patton's memorial service. Jim was there as well yesterday at the Londonderry Presbyterian Church. It was very, very nicely done. What do you all want to do about Budget Committee?
Can we, I'd like to see about holding off for a while, if we can. What's the
They're
consensus?
coming into a slow season, so that's possible.
Now, should we perhaps advertise and see what kind of attention or interest we have in that position?
We just need to make sure we appoint before budget season, gets rolling, for sure.
I think they advertise it now, though.
Advertise it now, advertise it now. All right, we'll get applicants, see where we're at.
Just a stupid question. If that's an elected position, right, we still have the authority? I don't know the process, so I'm sorry.
For the remaining term.
Yeah, so you
So-
can appoint someone for
If
the
one of us
remaining term?
resigned, you could appoint.
So
Oh, okay.
under state law, if it was a budget committee and not an advisory budget committee, it would operate a different way, but they're an advisory budget committee, so they're appointed by the council.
Oh, okay,
And that's what's written, written into our charter.
okay, just check.
All
I
right,
just
so-
didn't know the process.
So we'll advertise, entertain applicants, and we're going to need to appoint by no later than the middle of August. Good?
Yep.
All right, that's what I'm hearing? Okay.
Good.
All right, liaison reports. Anything new on the liaison side? Yes?
We had a very good and well-attended show with the water, the PFAS committee. And we entertained several mitigators, people who would put filters in people's homes, and also people who do water testing. It was like a trade show. It was done very well. I was very proud of the group. And also DES came, and they provided a lot of information as well. And I just want to thank the school board for allowing us to host that in the school cafeteria in the high school.
Perfect.
I went to it, and I just want to say it was done very well, and a lot of people, they had a lot of knowledge to share. Things I didn't know, I learned a couple of things, so that's always good when you walk out learning something.
Right.
I attended as well, and just wanted to thank Counselor for putting that together, and definitely well attended. A lot of good questions people were really asking. The vendors were saying that Town of Londonderry is very educated on this matter, so they were impressed with the residents.
Yeah, that was one, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Sure, of course.
DES, I asked DES, how things were going. They said that Londonderry, they told me Londonderry was the model community in the state for dealing with issues like this, getting out ahead of the issue, educating their community, and working creative solutions. And that was good to hear from DES, which oversees everybody.
Fantastic. Anything else on liaison reports?
I went to ZBA, and yet again, another sign issue relevant to 102, and how much signage, they all want more signs on every board and every place, so I think it's something that we really should look into, because it really does seem like every other ZBA meeting is a sign issue.
Why don't we ask the planning department
Oh,
to
we
start
have.
pulling it together
They
and
are.
bring us an ordinance?
Yeah, they are pulling it
Oh, good.
together. Colleen has it on her priority list,
Good.
that and chickens.
Well, it's just like, it seems like every
I know.
other
I
ZBA, it's
know.
like, it's the same question.
Yep, so no, it is on the priority list to bring it before. the
Well, let's
planning
move into the 20th century and figure out our signs, or 21st century,
Right.
excuse me, and let's figure out our signs.
And the other thing is, the planning board, we had a little bit of a workshop, and we were discussing water and how we can maybe add a little bit different ordinances to what we already have. Some of them were talking about encouraging big developments when they come in, that they have to hook up to town or city water. And maybe some of the watershed protections and things like that, enhancing those ordinances to try to protect our water even more.
All right. Anything else, liaisons? All right, big news from the airport is that Spirit Airlines will be coming to the area with 4 flights by November to Florida. The other piece that was not as publicized that I read in the Union Leader is that there's no plan for Delta to return at this time. So that's disappointing for those of us who fly to Atlanta all the time. But so the Atlanta-Detroit run, we don't know when, or maybe it will return at some point. We should probably ask the director to come in and brief us at some point on how things are going and hear it directly from them. All right, town manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have some very good news to report to the council this evening. So earlier today, this morning, Assistant Manager Drabeck, our Assistant Town Solicitor, and myself headed to the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to meet with the Drinking Water Trust Fund Commission, which is the group that is responsible for giving out grants to communities, safe water drinking grants. And we went up to make the case for 2 separate grants. One was in the amount of $500,000, which would be used to administer a rebate program here in town for residents who hook up some kind of filtration system, whether it be point of entry or at the tap. It would be retroactive to 2019 and forward as well until the year 2024 or whenever the funds would be expended. The second grant was for $400,000, which would fund the Lancaster Drive water hookup. If you recall, we had a warrant article on this matter in March. This would supplant the warrant article, if you will, and so it would allow so that the taxpayers would not have to pay any money toward this project. And in addition to that, the residents would not have to pay anything toward their hookup either. The only contributor would be the possible responsible party, which would be Vernco with the Apple Tree Mall. And really the bulk of the credit here goes to both Lisa and Mike, who did 2 separate presentations on both of these grants. I was more or less there for the charm offensive. Well, you know, they unanimously voted to grant the town both grants in the full amount, which is
Good job, you two.
fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really a feather in our cap. And,
Hopefully we'll get even more.
and I will tell you, to echo what Tom said, DES did present prior to us and talked about the issues that we're having in Londonderry, and also talked about how proactive the town has been, and did, again, use the words a model community, and looking at it very holistically. And what was even more really good to hear was that the chairman of the committee, who's also the Senate President, Chuck Morse, was also well aware of the issues Londonderry has, talked about the large amount of money that the state is going to be receiving through the ARPA funding that came out of Washington, threw out the number of $150 million in water and sewer upgrade. He seems to believe that this is ultimately going to be an issue not just in Londonderry, but in southern New Hampshire. But they seem willing and ready to throw a lot of funding at trying to have a permanent solution to this issue. So that was all very good news out of DES this morning.
That's great. Fantastic. Great job.
The other issue I have is Old Home Day continues to roll on. We had our last meeting last Tuesday. The number of volunteers continued to grow. And the next meeting, if anyone is interested in attending, is Tuesday, July Tuesday, July 6th, will be the next meeting right here in the Moose Hill Conference Room. So if anyone looking to get involved in Old Home Day, they're more than welcome to attend.
Is that it? You all set?
All set?
Yes.
Can we just post the dates for Old Home Day, just so everybody has it on our calendar? That's
Sure.
okay.
Lisa, anything?
Yes, just very quickly, Mr. Chair, sticking with the topic of water, our drought status has not changed. We are not in an official drought right now. We're still in abnormally dry. So I'll continue to update the council every meeting, since that's a hot topic. And then the second thing I just wanted to mention is that Leadership Londonderry, we have extended the application deadline to July 2nd. I'm still continuing to receive applications, but we'd love many more. So the application is right on the front page of the website.
Terrific. Okay, anything further?
Yeah, real quick question, Kevin, on the rebate program, how's that gonna roll out?
So the next step will be, we have, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
No, I
I thought
pointed
you were
at
looking at me. Okay.
I was.
So the next step is we need to await the actual grant agreement from DES. Once they draw that up and it's all signed, what we'll do is put together an application that we'll have on the website. And it will, have all of the information that the residents will need to fill in. It'll give all the relevant details about what qualifies, what dates we're going back to, that sort of thing. I should mention, just to be clear, this will be a one-time up to $500 rebate. We just don't have the bandwidth to continuously cut checks to people, if they buy bottled water or something like that. So it will be the kind of thing where you save all your receipts at one time and then submit for reimbursement.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add also, the PFAS task force is nearing the end of its, I think, useful life. And so it will culminate in a report back to the council and with recommendations. And also, I believe one of those recommendations is going to be to retain the task force for the additional task of maybe evaluating some of these rebate requests, which could be done on volunteer time, so as not to tie up our paid staff to spend a lot of time doing that.
Okay, that's good.
Mr. Chair, with just one other thing I just recalled, there is an open position on this commission that we're at today, and the Senate President recommended that we give them a name for a person to be placed on that commission. So that doesn't have to be tonight, but I just wanted to make you all aware.
Why don't you send me the information on the commission so we can be a little bit more educated on it, and then we can make a decision. Sure. All right, anything further for this evening? Well, you guys know what's next.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good night.